Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Hoops Empire. In today's video, we're going to be discussing Bradley Beal and if he will or will not request a trade from Washington this offseason. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and like the video. So, Bradley Beal, an all-star, even all-NBA level talent entering his 9th year in the NBA, all 9 of which with the Washington Wizards. He has turned into one of the NBA's best scorers as he has averaged over 30 points per game on above-average efficiency the last 2 seasons. Since Beal arrived as a rookie in 2012, the Wizards haven't always fared well, going 343 and 375 in that span. Beal has never truly voiced his displeasure with the Wizards, however, all signs point towards the notion that he wants out. His wife has said she's sick of it, and numerous times you can see Beal on the bench questioning his current situation. This bears the question: if Beal does decide to request a trade, where should he go? Should he go to Boston and team up with childhood friend Jayson Tatum? Should he go to the Golden State Warriors and become the third Splash Brother? What about Philly and pair up with Embiid and become a real title contender? There are lots of good options, so let's break down a few. Starting with the obvious, Boston, what are some viable ways he could end up there? There are 3 ways Boston can go about attaining Beal. The first is to trade Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal. As Woj and Zach Lowe said, Boston is not going to do that, and they shouldn't. Jaylen Brown is an ever-improving two-way wing that just made his first All-Star game and is just 24 years old on a below-max contract. Who knows if Brown will ever actually attain Beal's level of talent, but with the contract he's on currently and the defensive versatility he offers, it would be a fairly lateral, if not negative, move long-term for Boston. The second way would be through free agency. Although this is a very tough and complicated way to do things, it is possible to get it done. Let's start out by saying Beal is going to be in his 10th year in the 2022-23 NBA season, which is when Boston would be eligible to sign him. Because it's his 10th season, he is eligible for a larger new team maximum contract. If his free agency had been this offseason, it would have been a $36 million salary. But because it is next year, he is eligible for a staggering $42 million salary with 5% annual increase. Since Boston does not have his bird rights, they need to be at least $42 million below the $112 million salary cap. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum alone account for $54 million, and Boston has to be at $70 million to sign Beal. The Celtics would have to waive and stretch Al Horford, choose between not re-signing Fournier this offseason or letting Smart walk next offseason, probably not retain Robert Williams, and decline 3 out of the 4 team options of Pritchard, Nesmith, Langford, and Grant Williams. Boston could have the big 3 of Tatum, Beal, and Brown. However, this team would not look very good outside of those 3, so it's not very ideal. The third way, and the least likely, but the most ideal, would be for him to say that he wants Boston and only Boston. This way, any other trade would be viewed as a rental, and the value would significantly drop. This way, Boston could offer Smart, Thompson, Pritchard, Nesmith, and every pick and pick swap they can offer, or a deal similar to that. This would allow Boston to retain cap flexibility because they can re-sign Beal using his bird rights. To put in perspective what Beal would be leaving on the table by not staying with Washington, he could sign a 4-year, $182 million contract with any new team, which is roughly $44 to $45 million per year. Or he could stay with Washington and sign a 5-year, $235 million contract, roughly $46 to $47 million per year. He would be sacrificing the extra year of guaranteed pay and a roughly $1.5 million per year difference to contend, as opposed to stay in Washington and fight for a play-in spot. Lots of Boston fans would be thrilled to have a big 3, for the second time. But without some help from the league, like the Nets got, it's going to be very hard to do. There's also the argument that Boston would be better off with a deep roster that can fit the needs and accentuate the strengths of the Jays, while Beal could take away from it. Another team that could make a deal is the Golden State Warriors, and they could have no regrets about doing it. We all know Curry can pull off some all-time carry jobs, but it's not fair to ask him to do so. Clay will be back next year, but who knows what he looks like. And Draymond Green, even though slightly declining offensively, is still an amazing defender. Adding Beal to the mix would easily make them conference contenders in a wide-open West. The package would most likely be Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, the 7th and 14th picks, and a few more future firsts. This is an absolute no-brainer for the Warriors, as all of these players and picks are extremely expendable, but still valuable. Wiggins has turned into a solid two-way player, and while he may never be the prospect he could have been, he is still a solid contributor. Wiseman had a struggle of a rookie season, but is undoubtedly a good talent. And obviously, this is one of the deepest drafts in a long time, and 2 lottery picks is just as valuable as another good player. When you're talking about the caliber of players, such as Steph, Beal, and Clay, they're so talented that you don't have to worry as much about fit. This deal is a no-brainer for the Warriors, and it's a solid deal that the Wizards shouldn't pass on either. And the last team I will go over that could make a deal for Beal is the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers disappointingly lost to the Atlanta Hawks in this year's Eastern Conference semis, and they're going to be looking to shake things up, and that is going to start with Ben Simmons. Everyone in the basketball world would probably think that Simmons is going to end up on a different team by the time next season rolls around. Per Bleacher Report, multiple teams have an eye on Simmons. However, that list does not include the Washington Wizards. Obviously, this makes sense because the Wizards don't want to give up Beal for Simmons unless Beal requests out. And if he does, few teams can offer a better individual player than Ben Simmons.
Cadence.
A deal would most likely be Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, and multiple firsts. This would give the Wizards 3 immediate NBA-ready pieces, as well as other picks to rebuild down the line. However, Russ and Simmons is probably about the worst fit you could think of. So I'm sure the Wizards would enter full rebuild mode and trade Russ away for draft capital and another young player if they can, to a team looking to contend, such as the Lakers, as has been reported. Simmons would get his new start that he so desperately needs, and Beal puts the Sixers in the true upper echelon of the league. It may not put them at the level of the Nets, but it puts them in a tier of their own, separate from the rest. So who knows what will happen with Beal? He has voiced loyalty in the past, but I'm sure he had hoped his loyalty would lead to the Wizards showing the same, putting talent around him, which is pretty much yet to happen. The seed of leaving has been implanted in Bradley Beal's mind, and I doubt he plays all of next season for the Wizards, if any at all. Thank you guys for watching the video, and let me know where you think Beal ends up this offseason. For now, make sure to like the video, drop a sub down below, and most importantly, have a good one.